Hey everybody, John Fly here, and this is Xplanated. Yes, Xplanated. Many people have asked me for my thoughts on X-Plane, Pilotedge, scenery, utilities, add-ons, etc. So I decided, and again, a few people have asked me to consider doing a vlog, so I decided to start a vlog. Now, how often I'll do this vlog, that is up for debate. I mean, there are a handful of good vlogs out there on YouTube that are focused on simulation, and I don't mean to take away from any of those people, but I just want to give my take, my impression on what I find in X-Plane. I am a regular user of X-Plane. A little bit of background on me, John Fly. I started simming or flight simulation in 1986, and this was on a Apple Macintosh. It was Microsoft Flight Simulation version 1.0, and I've even shown the video. And if you do a YouTube search for Microsoft Flight Simulator version 1, you'll find one of the videos is a classic Mac black and white. A lot of stick figures, very rudimentary, but I had a blast. The VORs were functional, and I learned how to take two VORs, triangulate my position on a map. And it was simple stuff like that. I learned very basic functionality from the plane, but it was nothing compared to what came later. So fast forward to 2013, I was getting into prepared or P3D. I worked my way from version 1, 2, and then of course 3. I got up to 3.2. And then in October of 2015, thereabouts, I discovered, well, I knew about X-Plane, and I think at one point I tried the demo for just like 20 minutes, and I just did not like the default 172. So I gave up quickly. My joystick didn't work correctly. Anyway, long story short, or long story kind of short, I tried X-Plane again after watching a few streamers on Twitch and on YouTube. Josh J. Gibbs was showing some incredible scenery flying around the Southern California area, around Colorado up to the Pacific Northwest, and I started watching his stream in October. And I emailed him and asked him a few questions about X-Plane and how to get certain things. So, and here I am. So since late October, November, I've been doing X-Plane, and I started streaming also around that time. So yeah, so that's a little bit about my background with regard to flight simulation. Now, this show, maybe I'll do this weekly, maybe I'll do it bi-weekly, I don't know. Maybe I'll just do it on demand. But what my goals are, they're to let people know about what I'm doing with X-Plane. A lot of you may or may not know about some of the utilities that I use and some of the add-ons, etc. Some of you may have them already and know them better than I do. So hopefully this helps people who don't have those utilities or add-ons or ways to do certain functions. Maybe this will help either those who have those or who don't. There's maybe a little nuance of a utility or add-on or a procedure or a way to do things that you already have it. Let's say you're a Pilotedge user already. Okay, everyone that watches my stream and watches my YouTube channel, they know that I'm a an avid fly. I'm an avid player on. Is that the correct word? Player. I'm an avid Pilotedge user, and so I'll talk about Pilotedge, and a lot of you will know what's there and how to use it, and maybe I can give you some insight on to my humble opinions and the way I do things, and maybe I'll even get some feedback as to how I can improve things. So today's first topic, Pilotedge. So a couple things that I wanted to talk about. And it's really good to get controversial sometimes, isn't it? Because that brings about conversation and debate, and more people are talking about X-Plane, right? But let me talk about one thing that may or may not be controversial. But I spent a lot of time listening to online ATC, Pilotedge. I do listen a little bit on Iveo and VatSim when people are streaming that. But on Pilotedge, I'm starting to notice an increase in sarcasm, frustration in the voices of both pilots and controllers, and a little bit of anger actually has shown up. And so, and I'm guilty of all three of those. I've been sarcastic, I've been frustrated, I've had anger, I've had joy, I've had happiness, I've had a real sense of accomplishment, and I've made my share of mistakes. As many of you who are on Pilotedge know, it's very common to make a mistake and be criticized for that, either from your Twitch or YouTube family or a controller themselves. But let me give you an example. So there's a pilot. He's flying from Las Vegas up to San Francisco. He's doing an arrival. Let's say he's doing the Diamond 2 arrival into San Francisco. United 765. Did you follow the speed restrictions on the Diamond 2 arrival? Now the controller already knows that they have not followed the speed restrictions. That's why the comment is coming up. So the way that the controller asked it in this hypothetical situation was, it was sarcastic, and it was also had a hint of anger. United 765, did you follow the speed restrictions on the Diamond 2 arrival? Now, let me give you example number 2. United 765. I would recommend that you study the speed restrictions on the Diamond 2 arrival for the next go. Said with a very even keel, very professional voice, no hint of sarcasm or anger. I find that there are some controllers that are very patient and very professional, even when pilots are making them literally tear their hair out. But on the radio, they're keeping their cool, their calm, their professionalism. And that's making it enjoyable for everyone around. Now you flip that around, and I'm starting to see the sarcasm and the anger on the pilot side as well. So you have a guy, he, for example, breaks Charlie airspace. He starts to throw out excuses. Oh, I have custom scenery. Oh, I wasn't aware. I thought I was cleared into that airspace. Or I thought, or sorry. Or they flat out contradict the controller and say, no, that's not what I asked for. That's not what I did. That's not what, Or there's a situation where maybe they read back something that was wrong, but the controller didn't correct them. And so they start to blame the controller. Now, technically, yes, if the controller gets a read back and it's not correct, the controller is supposed to correct them. And most 95% of the time, 99% of the time, that happens. But anyway, it happens on both sides, the pilot and the controller. So I would urge anyone who's on Pilotedge now, whether you're a controller or a user, to take out the sarcasm, take out the bits of anger or the condescending tone. Don't use the words sorry. I would just basically confirm what they've told you to do to correct what you're doing. You know. November 572 Delta X-ray. You violated the Bravo airspace. Please immediately make right turn 180. Remain clear of the Bravo. And what are your intentions? SoCal approach 572 Delta X-ray, turning right, heading 180. Request flight following back to John Wayne, for example. Rather than saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I really meant to," you're taking up a lot of airspace. So yeah, my thoughts may be a little jumbled on that subject, but I'm starting to see a little bit of less patience on both the pilot side and the controller side. So we could probably improve that. I may get a lot of feedback on that. And again, I'm not saying that I'm innocent of any of these things. So controllers, just please remember that your pilots are your customers. Treat them with respect. Offer constructive criticism in an effective way, and the outcome will be a better ATC world. Pilots, study your procedures. Know your plane. Listen to other pilots. And always respect the controllers. They are there to help you. Again, I myself have been guilty of not knowing a plane well enough. Just recently, I was fighting the FMC in the IXE G737-300 and blaming the FMC for the mistake that I made on the network. The FMC is not flying the plane. I am. So know your plane, whether it be a Cessna or a big 777. All right, so that's enough on that topic. Sticking with Pilotedge, though, it's very common for a pilot to check in with, say, an approach controller using the words "with you." November 5554 Alpha Bravo, with you. 3,500, climbing 5,000. You can say "with you," but it makes a lot of people cringe that are listening. Believe it or not. It takes up airspace. Yeah, it's only a couple of syllables. But the fact is that even controllers in the real world, why are you saying that you're with me? You're obviously with me if you're talking to me on the radio. So, November 544 Alpha Bravo, I may have got that call sign wrong, but let's just say November 544 Alpha Bravo, 3,500, climbing 5,000. Didn't have to say "with you." And it happens constantly. Don't say "with you." And again, you can, but this is just my opinion, to make people cringe less and also shorten up your radio time that you take. You're supposed to use the minimal amount of words. Get rid of the ums and a lot of the filler words on a readback for an IFR clearance. Just give the very basics. And I'll probably on the next episode talk a little bit more about that. And again, I'm a rookie. I'm a novice at all this. But the minimal amount of words that communicate what we want to do is going to make it a better ATC world. All right, last subject on Pilotedge. For some time, there's been talk of expansion. Some of the expanding some of the expansion airports are Albuquerque, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, I believe Seattle, Portland. Anyway, you get the idea. There's some western airports outside of Nevada and California and Arizona where there's airports now. This expansion is coming. Don't know when. I would hope it's sometime before the end of the year, but I'm very excited because right now there are, the longest flight that you can do at present and stay in network the entire time is from San Diego, or you could go even lower down to, say, Brownfield. Anyway, San Diego up to San Francisco, I think, is the longest leg. And then you've got your San Francisco to Las Vegas, etc. I'm really looking forward to doing it. Los Angeles to Salt Lake City. They're also doing Denver. So San Diego to Denver, San Francisco to Phoenix. Really looking forward to this opening up. So I encourage you highly. And again, for those people that are not on Pilotedge, for those people not on Pilotedge, pilotedge.net will give you a lot of information. They're basically open from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. They're off for Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year. There's exceptions anyway. And the ATC coverage area, like I said before, is Southern California up through Las Vegas, a little bit into southern Utah, but there's no airports, so this would just be radar services. And then there is one airport, Grand Canyon, over here in Arizona. And yeah, it's going to expand. It's going to include quite a bit eventually. So you can do a 2-week free trial. So you can try it for free, 2 weeks. So yeah, go to pilotedge.net. And you'll see here, try a risk-free 14-day free trial. And then if you want to continue, it's you can get $19.95 a month, or you can do a year plan and you get a little bit of a discount. But right now, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planes on the network. Actually 6, 7, 8. 8 or 9 planes, 9, 10 planes on the network. And probably in a future episode of Xplanated, I will talk a little bit more about some of the utilities with regards to Pilotedge, maybe even listen to the online receiver or some recordings. So yeah, there we have it, Pilotedge. All right, the next topic I want to talk about is, again, something that you may or may not already know about, and that is Xorganizer. So is a program, Xorganizer version. I'm running 0.6. It's a utility that really has a lot of handy items. And I'm not going to talk about everything that you can do on it, but essentially this allows you to disable or enable plugins before you start up X-Plane, disable or enable certain scenery or airports, etc. But what I use it for mostly is, and there's a couple of tabs here across the top, but I go down to the information on airports and mesh, and I click on the enable airports. I click on read the data file. That goes in and reads my X-Plane folder, and here are all the airports that I have loaded. If I hold down the right mouse button, you can get a little more detail, or sorry, a little more, your ability to move is pretty easy with holding down the right mouse button as you scroll around. Now here, all of the red airports are airports that I've installed, and then the orange are global airports. So if I tick this box here, there are just the airports that I've installed separately from global airports. Right now I just happen to be done with doing mesh scenery for all the way to the border of Montana, all the way down to New Mexico, and then I've completed the Dakotas, Minnesota, and then into Wisconsin, and then parts of Michigan, and then down here. I'm just about done with tiling down in the and setting up mesh and scenery for the Texas and Oklahoma area. So I'm about to load that in. So I need to go find airports. I'll probably be purchasing the Dallas Payware Airport that's available on Xplane.org. The other thing that you can do on here is you can go on to the information on all installed mesh. This is photo scenery, for example. So if I click on the general tab, this will show me, and I can zoom in or out. This will show me that what right now I'm running as photo scenery, what tiles I have covered for photo scenery. And pretty soon I'll be adding all of these because I think I'm right up to about here. I got all this done down here. I just need to transfer it from one computer to the next. But if I hover above, say, this tile right here, at the bottom, down here, you can see the tile number. So it's very handy to keep track of which tiles you have done, which ones you don't have done. So Xorganizer. There's a lot more to it. I won't go into a lot of detail, but, well, one more detail maybe. You can look at the libraries that you have installed. And these libraries are helpful for both payware and for freeware scenery. You can get a list of the airports that you have installed. The ones I have sorted happen to have them sorted by state, so I can go in and drill down and see. So now when I go into Texas, I know that, okay, I have El Paso, but I need to work on the other airports that are on that map when I'm done with the photo and the mesh. So check it out. I encourage you to download it, and you can get it on X-Plane.org. Register there, and you can download Xorganizer 0.6.